They should know by now. This is a No Apology podcast. Back at it again. Episode 24, I believe.
The Kobe sold.
The Kobe sold. RIP to the Black Mamba. And we're going to title this, before we get into it, we just going to title this The Weaponization of Sex.
And before we get to anything further, and this is, I'm an African man, so this is just hurting me to say this now. We're going to send our shout-outs to Africa and all our listeners around the world, because we do have a couple different countries.
Right.
But this specifically Africa and everything that's going on in Nigeria with the SARS movement, no apology definitely is unapologetic to that extent, and things like that need to stop. Africa's always affected in so many ways. Even my home country of Liberia as well have a lot going on. So shout out to Africa right now. They need our prayers the most with everything that's going on.
Yeah, I think, I definitely send my condolences and well wishes to Nigeria, everybody that's out there, even people out here that's, just witnessing it. I'm not sure if it's about money. I don't know what it's about, but it's just, once again, one of those things where, like, our people just going against the grain, and we just killing each other. And I think we tend to think that it only happens in America, but it's a lot that goes on outside the countries. And even with, like, just being black in general, we got to keep in mind the late great Marcus Garvey. He was his whole mob was infiltrated by the first black FBI agent. You know what I mean? So that's, they do use our people against us at times. And I know that this is the works of the Nigerian police. And I think their intent before all this was to stop the robberies and theft in the country. And now it's turned into police brutality. So definitely want to send our well wishes and condolences to Nigeria. And, let's just continue to do our part and be better individuals to not only ourselves, but the people around us. With that, being said, let's get into this topic. So let's start off slow. What is weaponization? What would you define weaponization, Chris?
Well, weaponization, in my opinion, is something that's capable of bringing you down.
Okay.
And that could be anything.
Okay.
And that's why weaponization is such a powerful word, because anything could really be weaponized to a certain extent. Hence, look at the prison system.
Yeah.
They can make a shank out of anything.
Right. Right.
But that's a different type of weaponization.
Right.
But anything that's capable of bringing you down could be weaponized in a sense.
Okay. So yeah, just like you said, I would look at it simply as using something as a weapon, straightforward. And whether you're married, whether you're in a relationship, shit, even whether you're single, men and women, commonly weaponize things within those relations that they have with others. And I guess we could start from men. How do we weaponize things in relationships? Well, first thing that might come to mind is money. When you got a chick that you like, or a girl that you're with, if she don't give you the certain type of vibe, or she's not giving you what you want, you may not, give her the bread that you might give her to get her nails done or get her hair done. I don't know how many, simps we have out there, how many tricks we got out there that's just throwing the dollars out.
The Trick Dawsons.
Yeah. But that would be something that a lot of men use to get what they want. Like, if you don't do this, you ain't gonna get that type of thing. What else would men use? Let me see. Codependency. I did write that codependency is another um type of thing that I think is commonly used. It's not as, glorified and looked at as weaponizing, but just being dependent on being around somebody could also be a way of controlling them. And I think when people kind of know your weaknesses and know things that you're not really as strong at, the weaponizers will usually use that against you and turn that against you. So you got maybe like sex addicts. Sex addicts could be, one of the most manipulative people in relationships. A lot of people don't even know that they're sex addicts. So it's a lot of times where, whether male or female, you may not be into sex for the day and they want to have sex. So it don't matter what you want. They're forcing themselves on you, or they might end up cheating on you and think that it's okay just because you're not having sex with them. So I think it's, multiple ways to, attack it. And I think, hold on, a lot of it can be, unconditional. It can seem unconditional. A lot of it can seem, unintentional, even in a way. But you never really know, because it's never really about the victim in that point. From that aspect, it's usually all about the person that's doing the weaponizing. It's all about their needs. So that's kind of tricky.
One thing I can say is that men, and not just men, it's even some women that have that type of manipulative personality where they can persuade kind of with their mind, but not really. You see what I'm saying? But this kind of like the forcing of a personality where you can force certain things onto them. That's weaponizing in a sense. Men are just, when it comes to relationships, we're bigger physically, so we're already kind of weaponizing in a sense where our strength has so much value to where we can do kind of anything that we want to a woman physically. And for those who use their words emotionally and kind of really get into a woman's head, I think that's weaponizing the most. You know what I'm saying? Is with our words and our actions, as far as being manipulative and getting what you want, not even from money or type of codependency, but just that mental edge that we have, type of shit.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, with the notion or the concept that it's unconditional love, I think that can be, that a guilt trip.
Exactly.
In a way. And, people deal with a lot of trauma. Childhood trauma, to where, a lot of spoiled kids or people that are spoiled, they usually grow up as unhappy adults. So when these people get into relationships, they kind of expect to be spoiled exactly how they were as a kid. And that's where it kind of gets a little tricky. We just spoke about how men could possibly, I guess, and I guess we could kind of go more. I guess I don't know if we can go more on the codependency, because I think, like I said, in a way, it's like it's nothing is about the other person. When you're kind of dependent on somebody, nothing is about them. Everything is about you, and you kind of like victimize people for having their own mind, having their own opinion. And that, like I said, it gets dangerous if you don't really know yourself before getting into the relationship, because commonly, if men are the ones that are doing this manipulating, women are kind of just want to make us happy. They want to just do everything in their power to make things work within their relationship. And I think that right there can cause a lot of turmoil, a lot of stress on a woman just alone trying to get through to a man, along with trying to, keep her relationship intact.
Exactly, but that comes with the moral of a woman too, and what she really wants to gain within a relationship. Because a lot of times, it's so easy just to walk away and say, I can't deal with this shit. But for those who are just, for example, a marriage where you're just happily in love, y'all 5 years, whatever, you're in love. So that's hard to walk away with whatever type of dependency that you have towards that, towards that person. Because there's love involved at this point, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that's a controlling factor as well too, is having that love to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like exactly what you kind of are saying right now.
Do you think that because I don't think a lot of people our age really know a lot that goes into relationships. I think a lot of people, just think, all right, well, we go together, we gonna go on some dates, we gonna take some pictures for the gram, we gonna argue a little bit, and that's, you know what I'm saying, that's we gonna fuck a little bit, and that's just really it. And that's kind of the misconception, because like once you start getting older, living with people, things like that, like, and I could just speak from, well, we both could kind of speak from experience, but when you just dating and messing around with women, and when you actually living with a woman, it's a totally different experience. It's a totally different experience, because you have to kind of dumb yourself down as a man. And I'm not saying, be a female, but I'm saying you kind of got to dumb yourself down to make your relationship work at some point. You can't be too manly. You can't be overpowering, overbearing, and, that's kind of where, like, if you don't know that beforehand, you may become, that person that is weaponizing things, or victimizing the woman that you with. And it's like I said, a lot of times it's unconscious.
It's unconscious. It's so easy to do, because you naturally, as being a man, you get aggressive at times for no reason.
Yeah.
Your emotions, you kind of deal with your emotions differently than how women would deal with their emotions. So
right.
Even just a common argument could be escalated in so many different ways, and it could start a trend that could just be bad every time you guys argue, where she just kind of gets used to, when we argue, he hits me, so I'm okay with him hitting me, and things like that. And it's a mental thing, and it's basically losing that person's love, or scared, or, you know what I'm saying? It's really all what that person's thinking in their mental and what they're trying to lose, because it's so easy just to walk away. But do you really want to start over?
Right.
Do you really want to move out and find somebody else? And a lot of times that's where the advantage is at, because maybe the man is the breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the man is the person holding the castle together. So by you leaving, you can't even think straight now, because he's all you know.
Yeah.
And it's relationships like that. And you're right. I don't think a lot of people within their, let's say, 20s, 25 to 30, can really say that they've been in a solid 5-year relationship.
Mm-hmm. And setting boundaries is important too. I think without boundaries, you allow anything to happen. You're kind of, subjected to anything happening. Is boundless. The possibilities of you being controlled are endless just by not setting boundaries. If your partner knows, what they can do or can't say to you, or, can't treat you this certain way, then it'd be a little harder. Not saying that it still can't happen, but I think it's important to really, set those boundaries. And some people might think setting boundaries is too much.
It's too much, and you don't want to come off like somebody's parent,
Yeah.
like an over aggressor, constantly telling somebody what to do.
Yeah,
because it could seem like that as well.
yeah. So kind of transitioning to how women might weaponize. I don't have every example for y'all. I actually wanted to have some females call in this episode, but I think we would kind of do better just playing a clip, because I actually got this topic from a podcast that I was listening to, and I had peeped the clip on the gram. All right, so I'm gonna play y'all this clip from the Deadass podcast with Kadeen and DeVell Ellis. Some of y'all might know them. They're a real famous couple, black couple from New York, and they have a podcast that y'all could go check out as well. But they had a topic that they were touching on, and I'm gonna play all this clip right now.
A lot of women do complain, oh, my husband's always on me. Why is he always on me? If sex is going to be a chore for you that you don't really want to do, why do women constantly push monogamy on men? If you know that you don't want to have to deal with him all the time just wanting you, why do you push monogamy on men?
Well, who's to say I pushed anything on anybody? Like,
well, we know that you pushed monogamy on me.
I pushed monogamy. I forced you to get married to me?
Time out. You
So as you can hear, kind of went left when and they're married now. Kind of went left when the monogamy part came in, but I wanted to just briefly speak on how women kind of weaponize sex to push the narrative of them wanting to be married.
Whoa.
I think that is, a common thing. And like I said, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm basically just saying a woman may stop or kind of put a pause on the sex, or not even put a pause, or like be less frequent with the sex to then get what they want from the relationship, being i.e. the ring, i.e. marriage, i.e. wedding, things of that nature. What's your opinion on that one, Chris? Because I know I just dropped the bomb.
You dropped the bomb, and just from the video, the first thing that hits me, and it probably hit all the good brothers out there, is sex as a chore. Why do women treat sex as a chore?
Yeah.
Why do they weaponize it and make it seem like it's something that they're doing?
Well, we don't have any females here right now, so let's try to answer it the best of our ability. Why do you think that, and I'm sure that every man has been in that situation where their girl feel like, or they feel like, like I said, their girl might feel like they're just doing it for them.
No, what I think at all times is there's always a hidden agenda. That hidden agenda could be the marriage, or if that's what they're pertaining to, it could be a new pair of shoes.
Okay.
It could be
communication,
taking you shopping. It could be communication. It could be because of some picture you liked on Instagram.
Yeah, facts.
Like
I heard you was talking to this girl, so I'm
gonna hold this against you because I know that's gonna hurt you the most.
Yeah.
Your number one pride and joy when it comes to your lady.
Yeah.
What she possesses that you want at all times.
Right.
I'm gonna take that away from you.
Right. That right there is a heavy one, because, and I just want to throw out there that it can be unconscious. So if you didn't know that this could be kind of like a form of manipulation, this might be a shocker to you. Not saying that you're a bad person, or because this is not subject to women. This is something that men might do too, not with sex really, because not a lot of men naturally can just withhold themselves from their spouse, with sex. But I think the reason why, a lot of women may withhold it is because they don't feel secure in a relationship at the time. They might not feel like it's their time to get married yet, and they may not want to waste their moments with somebody that's not willing to marry them. Even with the whole exchange of sex, keyword exchange, I think a lot of women may believe that they're doing us a favor by having sex with us. And it's an exchange. So just like they're giving you something, you're giving them something as well. So I think that's something that really sticks out to me, because just as a man, a lot of women just might feel like, oh, I'm giving you this. You know what I'm saying? Like that's you just take that, you feel me? You should be you don't even deserve this, but I'm gonna just give you this.
I'm gonna just give it to you.
Yeah.
Wrap it up and give it to you. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think it does depend too. Like you said, it's kind of a give or take. But I said, as men, we have to be givers, and when you a good giver, I think that, and we don't got no women to validate.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but I feel like when you a good giver, and you want to reciprocate that back to you feel like it's kind of a give and giving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're giving, they're taking, they give you, you're taking. But when it's one-sided in a way, when they feel like they're just constantly giving themselves to you, then it feels different, because sex is supposed to be intimacy between two parties.
Right.
So you guys are supposed to be intimate and both enjoying it at a high level of happiness. So when it's just kind of a compromise or a settle, then you start to lose that intimacy. And then that's when it comes a game in such a way. Now you just putting it on me when you want to.
I think it's weird, because everybody is different. Everybody's relationship is different. And I think in some cases, a woman's sex drive might be higher than a man's sex drive, and vice versa. But I know for the most part, men are more just prone to want to have sex. You know what I mean? More often than not. And I'm not really sure how women take it in relationships, because like I said, the topic that they brought up was if it's a chore. If it's a chore, why are we not allowed to have more than one woman? If that's a chore to you, it may not be a chore to me, but if it's a chore to you, does that make sense? Because I get where he was coming from. It's like, if something like that you feel like is not that deep to you, or it's just something that you have to do to please me, you the king of your castle. Why only one woman? Do you feel like that men should only have one woman?
In a perfect world, men should only have one woman.
In a perfect world.
But when it comes down to feelings, ties, emotions,
yeah,
just the way men, their sex drive, like you said, like
right.
It's high. Our emotions is high. We want to be talked to. We want to be touched. It might be more than women at a certain point in time.
Right.
So I believe a man can handle multiple women at a time.
Right.
And I say that by saying the reason why is because we can communicate on a certain level where we can have multiple communications more than once. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. Nah, I mean, I would I would agree. Do you believe that it's fair for women to, at some point within the relationship, if they may not feel like you're going to marry them, do you feel like that should be a way of kind of getting your attention to get what they want?
I don't feel that, because I was always a firm believer in work for do the job that you want. Start working for the job that you want.
Okay. Nah, I agree though, because as a man, like, we can't really do that. Like, we can't be like, I'm gonna stop
I'm gonna stop working. I'm gonna stop paying the bills. I'm gonna stop protecting my family.
Stop protecting my family
because you're not giving me sex. How does that sound?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, when you look at it, it's a big double standard. It is.
And we're in a lose-lose because as men, we have to propose anyway. So it's not like we would have to withhold anything to get married, because if we're going to get married, it's up to us. So I think, like you said, huge double standard. Not really the only one that we have to really experience as men. And, there's a lot of double standards that women have, that are against them. Like, the whole cheating thing. A lot of women may get crucified for cheating one time on they dude.
Hell yeah. And even with the having multiple relationships, when a guy has 2 wives, it's not really frowned upon. We look at it and we say, okay, it seems normal. But when a woman has 2 husbands, hold the fuck up. She's a hoe.
Right.
Something wrong with her. Like,
right.
She's a demon.
Right.
Like, there's so much like negativity that would come with that. And me personally, I would have a problem with that.
Yeah.
If a woman had 2 husbands, I would have a problem with that.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just simple and plain. There's like, in certain religions, it is allowed that, men are, able to have multiple partners. But outside of religions, if we bring in polygamy, which is being able to be with multiple partners, that is unisex. That it doesn't, it's not just with men. Both parties, like, even if you wanted to be a swinger, some relationships are swingers where they just have sex with whoever and they're still in a relationship with them. Like, they're committed together, but they swing, they have sex with other couples and all that other weird stuff, respectfully. But that's
that swinging shit crazy too, bro.
Yeah, that's different.
They be swinging at the Clarion Hotel there on Mount Laurel for all you freaks.
Oh my God, he's snitching. Chris on here snitching. Oh man.
Yeah, man. Just best with y'all.
But
go find out. Well,
that's that. Like I said, the whole, this topic is just really geared to the awareness and, bringing awareness to things that a lot of younger people may go through but don't really know they're going through it, male or female. Whether it's fair or not, I would have loved to have some females on here and, have that debate, because there's a lot of women that may feel different than how we're feeling now.
And that might be a conversation that we need to have as well.
Yeah, I mean, if we get enough responses from this, and some women feel as though it's a talking matter, I have no problem talking about that. But just as far as like the being fair, like I said, us as men, we can't really stop doing our manly duties because we aren't getting our way in a relationship. And then, in fact, if that's going to be the case, I think men should fight. They should try to push back with that if that's going to be the thing. I mean, why go through your relationship, kind of feeling, back against the wall type. And a lot of times it's hard to even walk away from situations like that, because like I said, this is something that happens on the verge of trying to get married. So this is somebody that you may have been with for a year or two, or even past that. So you may be kind of stuck in a weird situation. But I think communication is important in that regard. And I know a lot of people our age, I'm not sure, you know, by specifics, you know, how they would handle it, but I'm sure like a lot of guys our age really wouldn't be down for, you know, oh, we gonna pause, you know, the girl saying, you know, we gonna stop having sex for right now because blah 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 blah. So I think that's, you know,
in the social media era, is just, it's hard to try to fight for your relationship
yeah,
when you got girls posting nude for free. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So
right,
it takes a stronger man to stay there and try to fight through it. And it takes a weaker man to say, all right, I ain't beat for this, I'm going to walk away. Because what
Right.
happens when that happens again?
right.
You just going to keep walking and walking. And that's how you just know, you know, that marriage may not be for you, or having a relationship may not be. And it's people like that. Like, not every man is really built for a marriage or maintaining a relationship with one person.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me personally, you know, my mom has been through 2 divorces. My dad's been through 3.
Ooh.
That was kind of tough on me, just mentally, just seeing that. You know, you could kind of guess how I thought about marriage, you know, growing up.
Yeah, and see, now I come from a family where my mother and father were never officially married.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Okay.
different for me too. So I look at marriage at a whole nother perspective. I seen my aunts and uncles go through divorces. It's tough, like growing up and seeing that. Like, you developed kind of that, not a descent towards marriage, but you kind of look down upon it. Like, is this really what it is, type of thing.
Yeah, I think, you know, early on, I just felt like it wasn't as necessary as everybody was making it seem. Just because what I saw from my experience, I saw how ugly it could get. I saw how good it could get, you know, as far as weddings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or even
good
if you
times.
don't really care about weddings, I seen, you know, how you could just get married at the Justice of Peace and get in and out that John. You engaged one day, married the same day. So I got to see that. But I think as I got older, you know, I also realized that I was using my parents' experiences with marriage and putting that towards my own experience without having the experience.
Yeah.
So I was kind of, you know, I recognized that, and I just knew that at some point getting older that I would have to, not have to as far as imperative, but just be more curious to walk my own path of life.
Definitely.
And at least test it out. So, you know, eventually, yeah, I believe that I will be a married man. And I think that's just, you know, important for anybody out there that has gone through the same things that I've gone through, being younger, seeing your parents go through those things. Just to have your own experience and get your own experience through life, and not necessarily through the experience of others before us. And just as far as weaponizing, you know, anything to get a ring and all that other stuff, in my opinion, I things should just be as natural as can be.
Natural. You shouldn't have to force a man to marry you. You shouldn't have to force a woman to have sex with you. Everything should be natural, in the sense that you want to get married.
Right.
And that's why, like, I'm the type of person, I'm not going to use my past experiences affect my future decisions.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm going to use those experiences as lessons learned to teach myself moving forward. So I'm not going to fully commit myself to a marriage until I know that I'm fully at that state of mind where there's going to be no bad intentions on my end.
Yeah.
Because I was never going to be the type of person to, you know, just do this shit because of the name or do this shit because of the ring. I was always going to have morals and values when it came down to a marriage, and I'm going to hold that to the highest pedigree.
Yeah.
And that's just, if you're not going to go in like that, then what's the point of even going in? And everything needs to be natural. You shouldn't have to force a person to love you. You shouldn't have to weaponize sex to make that person want to be with you. Because that might not be the turnout that you're looking for.
Yeah.
it may just be that person you was forcing yourself on may have a hidden agenda.
Yeah. I think when you force things, you know, and I think this is more of like a power versus force kind of thing. I think when you force things, it's kind of self-serving in a way, and power is serving others. When it comes to just being natural and free flowing, not to say that things aren't gonna be forced or feel forced in a way, but when they do feel forced, a conversation and dialogue should always be available. You know, you shouldn't feel awkward or feel weird of having that conversation when things do feel forced. But I think having things naturally presented and, you know, spoken about could avoid any drastic changes that could affect your relationship for the long term or may destroy it completely. It's a lot of intangibles that go in relationships, just even with compromising. And I think even with compromising, it's important to just know who you're with, know who you want to be with, know the type of person that you want to be with before you even start dating. These are all key important factors that go into you finding a soulmate or finding the person that you think is a soulmate. Because a lot of times you might see somebody for who they are, you know, before you meet them, but as you get to know them, they're not really who you thought they were before. So I think that's a lot, you know, to take in, even with dating. You know, just know what you're looking for. That's the experience that comes with dating when you kind of get the good, bad, and the ugly. But you got to be prone to learning, open to learning as you go on. You know, our generation, we just willy-nilly with shit, kind of, in a way. We just dating just to, you know, get a nut. You know, dating just to say, oh, I'm with this person because they popular, or, you know, this person was, I heard they was, you know, messing with this person, so I want to make this person jealous. Just weird shit. So it's just important, man. It's so important to just know what you want out of a situation, and that goes back to just boundaries, setting those boundaries, knowing what you want and knowing what you don't want. And I know this is kind of a, you know, sideways topic, but, you know, I didn't want to keep talking about, like, you know, current events and stuff. I kind of wanted to veer off and give people a topic that, you know, we could really, you know, do a little deep dive on and probably even learn something new.
I would love, you know, any type of reactions that, you know, no apology listeners may have. Definitely comment. Let's make it a discussion, because we definitely gonna do this again.
Yeah.
Like you said, have a more female perspective. It's nice, you know, veering off the current events for a little bit too, giving you guys our perspective about certain things. You're talking about guys with years of experiences.
Right.
So we just giving game. That's it.
Right. And, you know, I forgot to do it before we started, but, you know, I want to shout out all of our listeners, everybody that continues to listen and support us. We do have listeners overseas after I checked the analytics. So I want to, you know, give a quick shout out to, you know, everybody in the States, of course. You know, we are in New Jersey recording currently. But, you know, I want to give a shout out to Australia. I want to give a shout out to Ireland, Germany, Angola, Russia, Philippines, the Netherlands, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Singapore, and Ghana. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody, you know, out here tuning in.
That's love, man. Shout out
That's
to everybody.
love, you know, because we just starting this thing out. So yeah, that's you know, really it. I mean, you have anything else to say, you know, on this topic? I know we kind of ended short, but I didn't want to drag this too much. Just wanted to give y'all the meat and potatoes and something that we could all learn something from, at least.
Now, discussion was dope. I ain't got nothing additional. Definitely appreciate the listeners internationally and the ones in the U.S., the ones that's been showing us support since day one. I do feel like No Apology, we still got a lot up our sleeves, so still tune in.
Word. And with that being said, this is the No Apology podcast.
You
And we'll
already
see
know.
y'all next week, man. Peace.